day is about to arrive, and it's holy feast and a joyful event for the whole world. What feast is that? It is the day of Christ's birth in the flesh. It is true that the incarnation of Christ is a historic event that took place in a certain time. He actually appeared on earth as a man and lived in a certain time. When did this all occur? Is it January 7th, December 25th, or Kiak 29th? Let's find out today. We're discussing this subject for our generation, for the second generation, for the whole Christian community that live in the Western world. Today we have our Father Yohanna Nassif from St. Mary Coptic Orthodox Church. We are very thankful that you took the time to come and allow us to understand the misconception that we have about the old calendar system as well as the modern versions, and how can we resolve the difference between the two systems. First, I would like to start our discussion with defining calendars and systems. What is the stellar system, the lunar system, and also the solar system?
Yeah, first I thank you for having me tonight. And you know, the calendar as a whole is just a counting of the years of the time, the years, the days, the hours, so this is the calendar. And you know, we are Copts, we are Egyptians, and our grandfathers, the Egyptians, they were great scientists in astronomy. They developed a way to count the days of the years, maybe more than 4,000 years before the Lord Jesus Christ. And they noticed in the sky that there is a very bright star, which is called now Sirius, and it appears shining in a period of time every year. Mm-hmm. And it was related to the weather. So they started to detect this star and count the days of the year depending on its appearance.
When did that star appear?
It is in the end of summer.
Okay.
Of our summer now. So they started to make the old Egyptian year and the old Egyptian calendar, and it was 365 days.
Okay.
After many years, many hundreds of years, they discovered that there is a shift, and because they were depending on this calculation in the seasons of agriculture and reaping, and so they started to find a mistake. And after many the work of many of the scientists 300 years before the birth of Christ, or 280 or so, they adjusted the Coptic calendar for the first time. They added 6 hours to the calendar, the year. So it became 365 days plus 6 hours. You know, they can't add the 6 hours every year, so they add 1 day after 4 years. Every 4 years they add 1 day.
And that all happened before the birth of
at
our
that
Lord
time,
Jesus Christ.
most of the people all over the earth, they don't know anything about this calendar, and they used to use, maybe till now, the lunar calendar, because it is easier. Just the moon, it appears in a very thin shape, and then becomes bigger and bigger, and then it returns back to the thin shape and disappear, and
goes on to the full moon.
Yeah, but the lunar calendar is not related to the seasons of weather or agriculture, because it is a short calendar.
Who uses the lunar calendar?
The Arabs, the Persians, and the Hebrews. The Jews till now, they have this lunar calendar.
So the Arabic calendar is part of the lunar system?
The Arabic calendar is a lunar calendar. They are following
the lunar
moon,
calendar.
The moon. Also, the Jews, they are following the lunar calendar. It's their calendar is a lunar calendar, and the Persians also they follow this lunar calendar. It is easy, but it's easier than the other calendar, but it is not related to the seasons, so we can't rely on it in agriculture and sowing the seeds in a certain time.
Okay.
But our Coptic calendar, or the old Egyptian calendar, is to some extent a great calendar, and when it is adjusted in the 3rd century before Christ, the number of days, 365 plus 6 hours, it was good. It was good. It remained. And in the 1st century, the West and the Roman Empire took the idea of this calendar to create the Julianic calendar. They took our calendar, the Coptic calendar, in its length, but they just modified it in the number of months to become 12 months, not 13
months,
as we have in the Coptic calendar. We have in the Coptic calendar Tut, Baba, Hatur, Kiyah, Tuba, Amshir, Baramhat, Baramuda, Bashan, Subauna, Abib, Misra, and then the small month, 5 days and 6 days every 4 years in the leap years. They took those 5 days in the small month and they distributed on the months of the Julianic calendar, January, February. Actually, they started from March, and February was the end of the year. So the remaining days of February were less than usual, 28th. But in the leap year, February becomes 29th.
The star that you were referring to, that they built the stellar system upon, does this have to do anything with the star that appeared to the Magi and led them to the manger?
No. The star, which is mentioned in the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 2, it was a sign from God to guide those wise men to come and worship the Lord Jesus Christ. So it guided them, and it was moving to guide them. So it was not as a ordinary or normal star, and it was over the home that the Lord was in. So
it was just a unique phenomena for that one event.
But it was not a phenomena, but just a sign from God. St. John Chrysostom said it was an angel guiding them, the Magi or the wise men, to the place of the Lord in Bethlehem.
Okay. So going back to the stellar and the lunar, what about the solar system?
Yeah, we are living on Earth, which is one of the planets that are moving around the sun, So the Julian calendar adopted the solar system, or it was very close to the solar system. So the Julian calendar, as I have said before, the same length of the Coptic calendar, and it was 300 till now 365 days plus 6 hours, so accumulated in every 4 years, so to become one day.
Okay, so
this is the solar. It is equal to the stellar, but the solar is more relevant to the inhabitants of the earth,
environment,
because we are living on earth and we are moving around the sun. But the star, the big star Sirius, is bigger than the sun, but it is very far from us. So we can't rely on a star which is not near the earth.
That's true.
To count our days and our calendars.
But the Julian calendar was created by Rome. It was it was derived from the Coptic calendar,
yeah,
but it was built by Rome. Is that right?
By the empire, empire of Julius and Augustus, and it took from them many years to be in the shape that it has now.
It was. Okay, so how was the Gregorian calendar introduced, and how did it change the Julian calendar?
Yeah, this came in the 16th century.
Okay.
You know, the science was developing in Europe, and we at that time in Egypt, we were satisfied with Coptic calendar, and we were away from all this because we were under the occupation of the Ottomans, but the science was moving on in Europe,
Western,
and
Western
was
countries,
developing.
yeah.
So they tried to discover the position of the Earth compared to the Sun, and they started to find if the Julian calendar is accurate or not. The Earth is moving around the Sun, and when it moves and complete one circle, one round, so this is 1 year.
Yeah.
So they started to search if this movement, which is around the sun, takes 365 days exactly, with plus 6 hours exactly, or more or less.
Okay.
So at that time, the researchers were like to find out if this is exactly or not.
But during the time from year 180, from the birth of Christ, up to the 16th century, the whole world was celebrating Christmas at the same time.
Yeah, I think the Christian church started to celebrate the Christmas, and it is settled in all the churches of the world in the 4th century. The 4th century, beginning of the 4th century, and because all the world are using, all the countries are using one calendar or a calendar of the same length. We were using the Coptic calendar, and the rest of the world, they were using the Julian calendar, and with the same length. So we were celebrating in Kiak 29th, and they were celebrating in December 25th, and it was the same day.
They were coinciding with the same, on the same day.
It was the same day because the same length of the calendar, the same length. So they were corresponding. So 29th of Kahk was the same day of December 25th.
Okay, Abuna, with this we will end our episode today and we'll continue next time.
Sure.
Thank you, our viewers, for being with us today, and we'll see you next time.